Stan here, welcome to the Drum Cave and welcome to this episode of Chats With. Today's conversation is with one of the most unique and talented drummers of the last 30 years, Mr. Morgan Rose from Sevendust. This is a very special conversation. Morgan shares his knowledge, his experience, his history, but he's also open and vulnerable and talks about what it takes to do what he does for as long as he's done it and the challenges that he's faced along the way. Morgan is easily one of my favorite people and I'm honored to call him a friend. Please enjoy our wide-ranging conversation. That is gold, man.
It's already the best. It's already the best.
Bro, do you know what, man? Like every time I do one of these, even if it's a Zoom call or whatever, it just seems like there's always a 15-minute muck around of mics, phones, and we've done so much in the last 20 years with this technology, but still it seems that entering the room itself is just diabolical.
I'm an absolute fucking dinosaur. So it's like, I mean, it's Atari and fucking
Atari, yes.
So it's
Awesome, man.
crazy. I'm so honored to even be talking to you. It's a trip.
No. Don't start with that. I'm very honored to have you, man. And I did want to say this right at the start. First of all, thanks for your time.
Oh, of course.
I know you're a busy man, and also there he is. Round two.
And that's it.
Brilliant.
That's it. I've blocked the world. I don't care who. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. I'm telling you.
Bro, you're crushing it. Thank you so much. Yeah, what I wanted to say was, first of all, thanks for your time today. It's a real honor to have you here, man. And then secondly, just to say thanks also just for just our gracious interactions that we've had over the last couple of years, man. You've always been really, I don't know, you've just always been really nice in the comments and the DMs. And it's kind of funny when I interact with people like yourself, people who I hold in high regard on many levels. I initially am a little bit dubious. I'm like, this can't be them. And you were very much one of those. And so it's just nice to finally get some time with you and have a bit of a chat with you. And I appreciate it.
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, there's been so many times where I'm like, when are we doing it? When am I going to see you? When are we coming to where you are? And then it was like, I think I got there once and you were out of the country.
Yes, that's
That
right.
was the one time I went and I'm like, I mean, you're absolutely one of my favorite drummers and people, and we've never talked to each other. You know, you're the way that you hold yourself and the humble way that you come across is just mind blowing to me. Because honestly, the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, this is fucking weird. Like I'll never be able to do what this guy's doing at all. The first time I saw it. And then I started talking to some friends and I'm like, hey, and I'm like sending it to people. I'm like, you know this guy? Because this is crazy. And they were half of them at least were like, oh, yeah, that guy's out of his mind. And then I was lucky enough to just become buddies with you without ever even speaking.
Yeah, digital DM buddies.
I mean, it's like we were all up in each other's DMs.
I know, we are all up in each other's DMs. It just seems to be the nature of 95% of my relationships these days.
It's amazing though, man. Yeah, I'm honored to be here. The fact that you would even want to talk to a fellow like me is humbling. So
yeah, I knew that you were going to be like this. I've seen enough of your interviews and followed you long enough to know that you're humble to a fault, which I find quite endearing. But I'm going to make sure that we don't have any of that today, because today's not about being humble. Because everyone already knows that you are, man. So, and I will say too that first of all, thanks for the nice compliments about my playing and stuff. But you know, you do actually play a large part in that, man. There's things about your playing in particular that we can get into a little bit later that I have even indirectly taken from you. And it's almost like I had to evolve as a player to realize how much certain aspects of your playing has come through, your articulation, your precision, but your marry between groove and facility. This stuff all fascinates me from a drumming perspective. And I think that's probably a good thing to bring up right at the start, is that I'm just a nerd, bro. I'm not a podcaster. I'm just a nerd. And I like to talk to dudes that have done some cool stuff, you know?
It's wild because there's a few guys that I know that are super educated and knowledgeable about what's going on back there. And I get a kick out of like whenever somebody says, "So you do this linear thing here?" I'm like, "Cool, man. What does that mean?"
Love it.
Like I don't know what's going on there. What is that? And so I'm like a sponge and trying to hear and absorb the things that people describe of what it is that I'm doing because I really have no idea. I
Okay.
mean, that's
I kind of figured you were going to say that, man. It was similar when I was talking to Thomas Hark because he had a real, and it almost comes through the playing. It's like this thing where technical proficiency is one part of it, but because the character and the voice is so unique behind it, it almost has to come from a place of ignorance because it's so genuine in the way that it comes forward. Does that make sense?
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I kind of figured that with you.
Well, it started really early, because I was terrible at cover songs. It was like my dad had a kit for me when I was a baby. I was probably maybe 5 or 6 years old. And I really was more interested in putting it together and tearing it apart, tear it up, put it back together. It was like
Oh yeah, cool.
a toy. But he noticed that I had independence in the limbs. So I could, most people you see, they get on a kit, there's nothing more, like chattering than somebody that gets on a kit and all four limbs hit everything at once, and they just do that and
Hmm.
they think that that's a beat. And I could separate it. So it was like if 6 was 9 was one of the first songs that I ever really learned how to play. So opening the hi-hat was like I got it, I could learn. And even though I didn't play drums anymore for years after I was retired at like 6 years old, but it was I had an easy time learning something in small pieces, but learning like songs, I did play, like a show with a cover band once when I was a kid, and I didn't play any of it like it was on the records. I don't know how to,
Right.
I just didn't know how to do it. And so I ended up going to MI, and I was out of that school in 6 months.
Okay.
I didn't learn a fucking thing.
But you did learn one important piece of advice that I've heard you talk about, and I actually wrote it down in my notes because I just think it's an amazing. You know what I'm going to say, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the around the back door answer to the question of the ignorance. Was just that all I needed was somebody to say that kind of sounds like you,
And who was that person?
Bozio. Yeah.
Wicked.
So if somebody tells you that you look up to like that, it just gave me I built the narrative in my head. It probably was a blessing and a curse, because I use it in a lot of things in my normal life, which I am a mental case, and I'll build a narrative that goes, oh yeah, that's all bad over there, because I've already future casted that in a bad way. But in the drumming side of things, it was just kind of a lucky break, I guess, in the sense that I thought I was the worst drummer in the school. Everybody that was there was really into learning, and I just wasn't.
Mm.
I wish I would have been. And then part of me is like, maybe it's a blessing that I wasn't, because
It is 100% a blessing, man. Like you definitely. So, would you say that even now you look back and you go, you wish that you engaged a little bit more in it, or
absolutely, absolutely.
wow, that's
I mean, I have
fascinating.
guys. The thing is that I have guys that again, it's the weirdest thing in the world, but I really consider you a close. You're a friend to me.
Oh, thank you,
We've
bro. I
never
appreciate that.
spoken,
I
but
know.
you are a friend to me for sure. We've had all kinds of plans that just haven't, come to fruition yet,
Yeah,
but they
yeah,
will.
yeah.
And I will know you for a very long time, hopefully.
100%.
It's God willing that I can make it, long enough. But
Oh,
I
you're
mean,
doing just fine.
it's like there's a few people that I'm friends with that are guys that I look at that it's not a matter of like, it's just learning something where I'm like, just teach me that thing,
Mm.
just teach me that so that I will never be able to play it like that. But maybe it'll open something up in here where I'll do something that will be original. I'll make it original, like an idea. Like there's these guys that are just like on another level of playing,
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
so it's like I would be it would be pointless for me to walk in a room and only have 30 minutes with you and go, okay, I guess we'll start with what got me here. And that is what's going on with the right foot. How do I do anything in that world? Because I have no idea how to do any of that. And that's
But hold
probably
up
where
though,
I would
man, because
start
one of
with
you,
you.
no, 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 no. I won't let you do that because one of your strengths is your right foot, and this always cracks me up. Like, and it's consistent throughout your career too. Like, you've got what 13 plus full length albums now, and you got the new one on the way. And
Yeah.
I've listened through all of your catalog, and I've even bookend recently Truth Killer and Self-Titled and Home. And man, your single kick work is honestly some of the best that I've ever heard.
I mean, I appreciate that.
Like to
I
the point
mean,
where I'm at, where I want to know, like, can you, is your foot still as proficient now? It sounds like it is. Like your right foot, not your double, because I want to get into that too, because you're a dark horse double pedal player too. You're a weapon on the double. But like, do you have any trouble executing any of the stuff that you used to do? Because I can't hear it.
no, I don't have any trouble with any of the old catalog, the new stuff. There's a bunch of players out there, especially like the new age guys that they can rotate back and forth. I remember the first person I really paid attention that did it was Mike from Disturbed,
All right.
and it was because they played black and he played it with 2 feet, and I was like, at first, and I love Mike, so I'll just say it. I was like, that fucking guy, man, Mike is playing it with 2 feet. Like, just play it with 1 foot already. Then I tried to play it with 2 feet, and I'm like, what the fuck is all this? Like, how do I
Oh,
do
interesting.
this? I don't
Okay.
know how to do this. I can't do this.
Oh,
I couldn't
really?
do it. So I end up having to do everything with 1 foot and we run into trouble with that a lot because it's like sometimes the guys will write some riffs and the tempo might be in an area where it's a little too much for one and too slow for two.
Yeah. Yeah. The gray area.
And yeah, so then I'm just like, I kind of think it needs to be a little faster. And then I just try to manipulate the writing session, into making it
I've done
work
the
for
same
me.
thing, man. I've done the same thing. It'd be better for the song.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Faster is better.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, that's something that I gained a whole new respect for guys that can do all that. And I don't know where it came from. I don't have a clue of like who was the guy that said I'm going to do with this with two in that gray area,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and really be able to sway it, where it's like they can kind of they're doing rudimental things, with those kick drums,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, oh yeah, man, that's a lot of work for an old dog like me.
That is a lot of work. Like when it comes to double pedal, it's guys like Vinnie Paul meeting sort of like the Thomas Hark thing and even Eloy from the new
Oh yeah,
Slipknot drummer. The combination of those three is sort of where I like double pedal. And then if you then bring yourself into it, where within a groove context and like really good songwriting, the application's just like on a whole different level. So are you telling me that you didn't start off on double pedal, that kind of evolved over time? Or are you just saying
yeah.
that,
It's the irony to it is the double pedal was an honest slave pedal for me. It was an honest like oh I want to go digga that and
gotcha.
instead of doing it how you do it where it can be like that,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like I need that one to do the little flipper.
Yeah.
And then back then it was any of the digga 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 again things that you can do on one. I needed that for that, so it was really kind of primitive double kick stuff. There's been a few little grooves that I've put together, over the years that nothing that anybody that nothing that's overly tough to do, but a little bit different than the straight. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's a few little things that I've come up with, nothing again. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to annoy you with not thinking that it's very special, but it really is not that tough. It's just that.
I don't know. Like I listen to players with that technical mind, and I listen to your double pedal work, and I reckon it's up there with some of the best, man. Like your phrasings, your ability, like within a groove orientation, within just straight 16s at a good tempo with like snare variations and stuff, where you have to be pinpoint accurate. Where flams don't necessarily work in your favor or your flavor.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And unless there's just some insane quantizing going on behind the scenes, which from what I know of your playing, I don't believe that there would be. Yeah, man, I honestly believe that you've got some of the most proficient feet going around. Feet, not just foot.
Very much appreciated. I don't even. It's funny that you even say that. When you talked about the quantizing, and I'm notorious for going on a tangent, so you'll have to cut me
It's
off.
cool, man. I
So
love it.
just
I have an arc to this,
uh,
but at the same token, it's just a conversation with bros, like it's no stress.
yeah,
More just
absolutely.
curiosities
Well,
than an arc.
I mean, honestly, like again, we haven't been able to speak, so this just feels like I'm just talking to you. Like, hey, we finally got FaceTime going.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was a big hater on Pro Tools when it came out. You know, because it leveled the playing field. We worked really hard, and then I knew some guys that were not they just weren't very proficient. They weren't. And then I heard their records, and I'm like, oh shit, man, that sounds like best drummer in the world.
Yeah.
And then they'd go out there and play live, and it would fall down the stairs, and I'm like, and nobody would really notice. You know,
Mm,
the everyday listener just wouldn't notice. So it took time for me to realize, yeah, but the peers don't. They don't. You know, my friends don't respect it. You know, my friends look at it and go, you can't cheat that much. Like, don't do it. You know,
yeah.
don't put that out there if you have no chance of replicating that.
Mm.
So I was one. It took me a long time to allow them to bring any extra help into the room. I mean, we were so old that we didn't have that when it started.
Yeah, so you started with Sevendust in particular in the mid '90s. I think self-titled
Yeah,
'97. So
yeah,
this is a precursor to the mainstreamness of all that stuff, eh?
yeah. There was cutting tape back then. You
Yep.
know.
Wow. So then, okay, well, then I do want to take it back a little bit because one thing that I'm curious about you is someone who, I mean, you're coming across very much like a self-taught, self-inspired drummer. Is your facility work was activated pretty early in Sevendust, like pretty much showing your ability and your range. So those first years in Atlanta, those first few years, it's either your influences were so strong on you and that coupled with an OCD mind, so you're just going in there and shedding hours on your own and having fun, or you actually did get some really good early advice that triggered that facility because you were, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, like quite formed right at the start of this band. And there's definitely like an evolution to the songwriting and the playing and even the production and stuff. Like your guys' production arc has been incredible to listen to. But I don't know, man, you came in pretty fully formed, like pretty early on. And I'm curious as to where, apart from the hours of sheds, your early influences, because, and I'm going to crap on a little bit because there's a lot of things to cover in my opinion, but your hi-hat work in particular, like you've got Copeland vibes, you've got, I mean, my version of that is Carter Beauford, who was a big Copeland guy as well.
Oh yeah.
And it's little things like where you choose to place accents. I mean, I've always said that you remind me of Carter, not in playing style, but like you're way better than what you need to be in the context, and it cracks me up. Almost like you
I
get
mean,
away with murder sometimes, and I'm like, this guy, you know.
there's definitely been some overplayed moments. You know,
I
I
didn't
mean,
say
which
that.
is
I
funny
didn't
for.
say that. I'm just saying that like you didn't need to be as good as what you are. And I'm very curious as to how you attained your skills. Whether you choose to want to talk about it from that perspective or not, that's up to you. But from someone who's genuinely curious, skill acquisition is like an
It's
important part of what we do.
it's really wild. I mean, so I was in bands at around. I went to MI. Will just say I flunked out of MI. I just didn't go to school. But I did have a roommate that was way ahead of everybody that I was hanging out with because there was hair metal going on then. You know, so it was Motley Crue and Skid Row and all that. I don't even
Wow.
think that like Cinderella or any of that had even come yet.
Wow.
This is like 1990,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was weird because me and Chad Smith and Ray Lazier, we were all right around the same time. And the first person I met when I moved to California, because my roommate was a friend of mine from Atlanta, and he was already 6 months ahead. So they run a 6 month turnaround to where the school is a year, but they'll run 6 months, and then you'll have new students coming in for the first side, and you'll have the others that are doing the backside. So I knew he was only going to be there for 6 months because he was starting the second part of it, and I was starting beginning. First person I met when I walked into the apartment was John Frusciante, like first person,
Wow.
and
Shit.
he had
1990
purple
John
hair.
Frusciante.
Yeah, before Chili Peppers.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he has purple hair down to his waist, smoking a cigarette, blowing the smoke out like through his teeth, and he has a guitar that I'm pretty sure, yeah, he made the guitar himself, laminated it with a bunch of naked girls all over it, and
Of course he did.
he was into playing Hendrix. Hendrix was his favorite, that was it. But he was super into Vi and super into, really, I shouldn't say Vi, he was super into Frank Zappa.
Oh, okay. Yep. That makes
So,
a bit more sense. Yep.
and So my dad had showed me Baby Snakes and like Punky like when I was a kid. That was what I saw, and I went, that's that, I want to do that. And it was, Bozio was singing, and he had similar hair. It was kind of like John's was when I saw him. It was all kind of like this. It just reminded me, and I found out that he had gone over to Zappa's house a lot and was, I believe, close with Frank Zappa. Frusciante was, and so it was like immediately they were way cooler than everybody. Like the hair thing, the hair metal thing, they looked at me like, you're just an idiot, and we're doing real music over here. Like that's how they treated me anyway.
Oh,
But I
wow.
would go in and work with them. I would go in there and we would do like uh we did attitude song. I did do that one at performance class, and I did like a Satriani song with another guy, my roommate. But
Nice.
I did do, I think I did attitude song with Frusciante, and he hated the school too. I know for there's no chance that he graduated. I left before it would be time, but he never went to school either.
Mm.
And there was just something where the influences that I had were really, I would just consider drummers that I really liked, but I couldn't play like any of them.
Can you name them?
I mean, it was Bozio for sure. That was the early influence, but Bonham was definitely a thing where I sound nothing like Bonham, and I was mesmerized by what he could do. And Neil, of course, when I got to be a teenager, that was like, I remember the funny thing is, I remember watching that for the first time and thinking when I saw you for the first time, I was like, damn, that's a similar feeling of like, that's just better than everybody else.
Oh,
I
shit.
really had that
Thanks, man.
feeling when I saw you doing your thing. So I remember it was just like, okay, that bar is super high. I'm not expecting ever to reach that, which I never will. But as a kid, you sit there and you think, I can do this. And but those were like the early ones, and then it started to broaden a little bit. Keith Moon got into the mix and Ginger Baker. So a
And
lot
those
of
are the
stuff.
guys that would have messied it up a little bit too, because Keith and Ginger, they're the grit,
Absolutely.
Hmm.
No question. So there was some, it wasn't safe there. That's what I got out of their playing. Even with Bonham too, even though he had such a lockdown groove, there was something about it. Maybe it was just the attitude of him, or maybe the power. Something was unsafe in those guys. There was something happening with that era when those all three were going at once, where I was like, that's the era that I would have probably fit in really well because there was something loose up here. So most of the playing, um it was really just playing off of what I heard musically. So somebody would write a riff and I would play to that. First band I tried to play with in California, they fired me after one practice. They were
Okay.
like,
Love it.
one practice, and I was hanging out with them a lot, so they were like my friends there,
Oh,
and they were
no.
like, and we were hanging out with the hair metal people, and they ostracized me immediately. I went from being like their best friend for 2 months and living like this weird life, and never going to school, and then I did one practice and they're like, he's fired. Like they hired me to be in the
Really?
band for 2 months after never.
Wow. All right, we've lost him again. Oh, this is hilarious. I'm going to brew another coffee. There he is. Welcome back.
Like, Ma, you've kicked my ass out of here twice. Can you please let me call you back?
Oh man, never block your mum, eh? You got to answer that.
Says, what are you do? I'm just worried about you.
That's cute though. You got to answer your mum, eh?
Oh, I know it.
Um, just to riff a little bit on what you were saying is just I suppose what the point I was making is that when it comes to hi hat work in particular, what you do with it and guys like Carter and Stewart and stuff, it's almost the antithesis of what our role is as drummers. And so I feel like it's a conscious decision that stems from something. From me, it was when actually, man, like coinciding, I had a period in time when I listened to just two albums on repeat, literally for months. And I mean that. I used to just smoke a bunch of weed, and this is all I listened to. One
Yeah.
of them was Home, and one of them was the Dave Matthews Crash album, those two albums in
Wow,
particular. And
that's crazy.
yeah, man, and like, and so even just kind of like something as simple as what you do in Waffle, just that off hi hat. It's such a decision, and it wouldn't work in all contexts as well. And so I'm just curious as to where your inspiration came with voicings like that, or did you even think about it, or was it just like, what can I do to make this sound interesting? Because it is consistent with you over the last 30 years in the Sevendust context, you know?
I really, it's such a cool question because I really wish I could remember what I was thinking of in that song in particular.
But you don't even need to. I'm just curious if you do actually think like if you do have a memory of that at all.
I don't remember what that particular one was. But it's funny that you've mentioned Stewart a few times, and he was a huge thing,
Okay,
because when I was in high school, Synchronicity was happening.
right.
And I went to 3 of those shows. They played 3 nights in Atlanta, and the live video concert of Synchronicity was filmed in Atlanta.
Mm.
So I went one night, I bought tickets, and then the next day I came in and they were actually giving some tickets away at the school, at our school. So
Wow.
I was like, oh shit, I'm going again. Um, his hi-hat work was unreal. To me at the time, that was probably like, I've never heard anything like this.
Yeah.
His crossing over in, stylistically was very original
Yeah,
for
beautiful.
what was going on.
Mm.
Um, So I definitely was influenced by that, subconsciously.
Yeah.
Again, I never looked at it like I could do it. I just looked at it like that'll be in there. And I do believe that a lot of that is probably what I would give any type of credit for with stylistically for me would just be seeing something, not even thinking I'm going to try to incorporate that somewhere because honestly, I'm sure you can tell there's some self-deprecating that can go on over here
It's
where
affable, it's
you
charming.
know I mean it's an uncomfortable feeling to get attention in an industry where you're supposed to try to get attention, like that's the weirdest thing to me.
That's quite funny coming from one of the most animated drummers that I've ever seen. There's an irony to that.
Absolutely, there
And I'm sure it's
absolutely
not lost on you either.
no question. No question. It's I don't want to, if I haven't answered your question, wrap me into it again. But that I just go from that and I'm like, let's talk about that because that's a whole nother problem.
Well, can we talk about your physicality? Can we talk about like because I know how you were told to just be yourself, and that's such an important piece of advice that I even give my students. I've got this one student, man, who's a massive fan of yours. His name's Daniel, so he'll love it that I'm mentioning him right now. I got him onto you pretty early on, and he has taken like many of the guys that I've been influenced. He's almost like my little protege. This guy is just he's only
I'm sure
16,
he's a
man, and he is
monster.
going to take over he's an absolute monster. He's yeah, anyway, we don't need to keep going on about it because he'll just be sitting there loving this. But with him, he told me like a couple of times with other teachers that he'd had, like one of the teachers that he had said to him, just remember you live in New Zealand, man, so just kind of like keep it realistic. And I was just like, that is
Oof,
just the
that's rough.
worst piece of advice you can give
Worst.
anyone. And
Yeah.
then another teacher had mentioned to him to like maybe chill out a little bit. And it's all about context. But one thing that I've constantly reinforced with him is just be yourself, man. Lean into the difference. Lean into the way that your mind works and your intuition. It's not going to work in every context, and you have to make that decision whether you're mature enough to own that answer or own that choice. But
Yeah.
be yourself. And I'm so stoked for you that someone came in and said, "Man, you've got something." Lean into that, whatever it is. Lean into it. That's just such a
Yeah.
great piece of advice.
It was probably the best that I got, and it took me a minute still, I kind of had a little bit of a wave because it had to I had to get comfortable with being in my sandbox. I had to
Mm.
play like I'm a very I mean, to a fault, I'm a very adolescent grown up, I'm a child. So it's like I have to do like I have a sheet over me walking into a room and telling people you can't see me, right? Like that's literally how my brain works. And the makeup really made it even more intense to where I really
Wow.
don't I don't think anyone can see me.
That's cool.
I'm not me anymore. And when you're playing in the backyard of a house and somebody's, yelling Freebird at you while you're playing, an Eric Clapton song, uh, it's kind of hard to be yourself at that point. There's a lot of outside noise there. When you get yourself into a little bit of a bigger position, it becomes easier. The bigger it becomes, the easier it becomes to hide, for me.
Mm.
So yeah, that was as far as visually, that was I'm playing in my sandbox by myself.
And the physicality is a natural extension of that?
Yeah, yeah. It's not like, a lot of people say, oh, you get all that anger out on the drums. And I'm like, I know the times that I'm really angry and when I'm taking it out on something, and it exhausts me very quickly. I mean, I can go into another gear over something that's happening in the moment, ears blown, something broke. I have, again, in that adolescent behavior, I'm not exactly well behaved when things go bad.
But that's you in the job working and something's, not going right. That's pretty a normal response.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some really aggressive responses, that I got
Okay, maybe
myself in
not so
trouble.
normal.
I mean, I had one night where I just got really upset and a cymbal broke while I was upset. So in between songs, I just took the cymbal off the stand while they were bringing me another cymbal, and I just slammed the cymbal down on the side, next to the drums, and it severed the snake that went to all of our ears. So everybody's ears went, you know,
Wow.
right in the middle of the
Okay.
show. So that was one of the last times that I like really lost it. But it's weird because that was where I understood that, yeah, when you get that anger out on the kid, I'm like, I'm not there to be angry, I'm there to be whatever I feel like being in that on that particular night. I know that I like, being a little bit idiotic in my sandbox by myself, so it's like no one can see me, so I can do what I want. Now, if I get angry at something and I'm alone in my sandbox, then something aggressive might happen. But I mean, I'd like to look at myself, and I believe I'm a kind person, and I feel horrible. So I'm begging people that I was screaming at, please, it's not me. That's the guy in the sandbox. I don't walk around here like this. I mean, that's just when I'm
Oh,
not all
that's
right.
cool. I'm
So
so sure that comes across. It does make me want to ask this question kind of half in jest, but is your drum tech rolling door sort of like, is it just sort of up in one side and out the other? Or I'm just
no.
curious. You don't even have to answer that.
No, the funny thing is that, so we went through this period of time where we just weren't touring as much. We were
Hmm.
kind of thinking that we were going to land the plane a little bit, like
Okay.
let's slow it down to a farewell thing, which we had discussed for sure. And then some other things happened and we decided, you know what? Instead of parking the car here, why don't we just put it all the way into like drive, like all the way in, and let's tour like harder than we've ever toured and just
Whoa.
burn the car out. Like let's tackle things that we haven't done. So that happened, it just overnight it was a decision that went from we're going to retire to no, 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 we're going to actually put the afterburner on now instead.
Can I
So
ask what year that was?
it was recently. It was like
Oh, wow.
a year and a half ago. This was going to be our last record. We had a blueprint for it and everything. We actually had like a whole layout. It was the it was that thick, of going through
Shit.
everything that we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And I mean, I cried a few times thinking about it because I was like,
I'm sure you did.
we've had so many people that we've met. The Sevendust community is a very close thing. We did not have the luxury of a major label or the major label money, so we grinded it, from the beginning, and then got really mistreated in the middle of our career, like horribly mistreated. And the people stood there long enough for us to get our legs back. And then when we finally found somebody that really knew that we could trust, that knew the game and knew how to make it work, we were so beat up, and the people started coming back a little more and more and more, and it just became this thing where it's like, oh man, I've know these people from being out there so much. And when you over tour yourself, you see these people a lot, and they become people you're going to dinner with, or going to lunch with, or having coffee with, or whatever it might be. And you're doing it consistently, and then one day you're just like, we're gonna wrap it all up, and I'm like, that means they died,
Mm,
because I never see them outside of this.
mm,
So that means that it'll be like every gig will be another death in the family. It'll be another group of people that I know from that. And I also know from being around them. And it's like, there's thousands of them.
mm.
So it's like, that's like 1,000 people that you care about dying in a year and a half, you know? So I got really emotional about it. And then when it was decided we're not going to do that, it was like I got just rejuvenated. You know, it was like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't have to
cool.
face that now. You know, like now,
Almost like a phoenix from the ashes.
yeah, it got really exciting. You know, like I hadn't felt that kind of like I'm ready to break some shit now. You know, like I want to tear something up. And we just got back from a 2 month run in Europe, and I felt like it was 1997 again.
Wicked, man.
It was
Shit. Like
crazy.
one of the things that has blown me away about you guys is that, especially in the scene that you're in, I mean, a 30-year arc is pretty much unheard of with the original lineup.
Yeah.
I know there was a brief break for Clint, but
Mhm.
like apart from that, man, like, and so I suppose if I was to like selfishly ask a question in regards to that, like, how have you guys done that, man? Because I know you must have been through every version of what just being in a band can do, let alone a band
Yeah.
within a genre like heavy music.
So it's awesome, man. I try to like clip these questions quick, but with you, I just want to just throw it up. I mean, it's the
Thank you.
reality is that I used to tell people, I was like, oh, it's a really easy thing to do. Like everybody makes a big deal about this. It's super easy to do. And they're like, what's the secret? And I'm like, don't communicate. And
It kind of goes
everybody's
against the
looking
advice
around.
on
They're
any
like,
good
they're waiting
relationship.
for the punchline, you know, they're waiting for the joke. And I'm just like, no, dude, like we just didn't communicate. We talk shit on each other like brothers. So we just go, you know, this guy's pissing me off, or every day with him, you know, and you wouldn't say it to him, you just say it about him. So it had this super toxic, unhealthy environment, you know, but nobody would ever like, and then we would have this get together, you know, we have this get together before we go on, and I've said it before, but it's like, you know, we do a little prayer together, and I'm like, that just kind of kills arguments or kills the bad vibe, because you got to do that. You know, like you're gonna have to see me, dude. We're gonna have to be in a
Mm,
little huddle together for a millisecond, you know, but you're gonna see me. And we've lived, you know, predominantly one bus for our whole career. We had multiple a few times, but the majority of it's been in one bus. So
that is incredible.
um, and then we gradually got older, and it was like, is it safe to tell you that I think you're an asshole today? You know, like, is it okay? Can I say that with a smile so that we don't have to fight about it? We can just explain each other. And even it still happens, you know, but there's
Mm,
still the moments of somebody's talking shit on me. I know it because I put myself in the crosshairs. Why wouldn't they be? I knew that I did
yeah,
something that was stupid, and I walk out of the bus, and as I'm walking, I'm going, they're talking mad shit about me right now. Like I know they are, but we love each other. It's the reason
yeah,
why I put the band together. It's the best thing I ever did. I could strangle most of the dudes in this band, but I would die for them, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah. That is a proper brotherhood, eh?
it's as real as it gets, you know. I mean, it's as real as it gets, and I think that it definitely, that's the connection with the people. I think they're like, these guys are real, man. They're not full of shit.
Oh man, like anytime I come across anything Sevendust, like whether it's just you playing or like the features on the band or whatever, I mean the amount of adoration that you guys have in the comments, like it's just I very rarely see any smack talk, and I'm sure you do just because that's just the nature of being in the beast. But you guys have a lot of love, like from a drumming perspective, from a band perspective, and so that brotherhood definitely shines through. It's a testament to all of you, really.
When I put the band together, I put it together with no expectations, zero. Like I had already had an option. It's funny that we're talking about Carter because he took the record deal that I could have gotten.
Oh, true.
That was it was when they got signed, there was this guy that was an A&R guy for, I guess it was MCA that they signed to. I can't remember if it was RCA, MCA, I can't even remember. But we had a manager at the time, and he was friends with the guy, and he gave us a demo deal, and it was a 30-day retainer, and he told him, I've got my eyes on a band that I really want to sign, so this could end up being a write-off. I've got one left. It was the end of the year. And he said, I really, really do like them a lot, but let's see what they do. And, you're a friend of mine, and I like the band. So if it doesn't work out, they can take the demo and shop it,
Mm.
you know. And this was the band before Sevendust. And 30th day, we were waiting. We thought we had a deal because it was all the way to the very end. 30th day, we get the phone call. Yeah, they passed, and they signed another band. And I said, what band? Are they like us? And he goes, no, it's a band called Dave Matthews.
Had you heard of them in the scene?
No, no, they
Oh,
were
wow.
they had no record. They were getting signed. So that was the band before this. So I did not get along with the singer at all. No, nobody did. And
So a blessing in disguise.
yeah, yeah, oh, for sure, that band wouldn't have made it 2 weeks. No chance. But Vinny he was my roommate, our bass player, and I was like, minute we lost that deal, I was like, I'm out of here, man. Like, I don't want. He goes, well, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna put together a band of cool guys. I don't even care if they're any good. I'm tired of the ego people. I just want regular guys that I can go have a beer with when I get done, mixing mud and hammering off, roofs. I just want to enjoy playing because it was a nightmare for a while in this other band. And he goes, I'm going with you. And then our other roommate told me that John was writing songs, but John's a drummer. And I'm like,
Okay.
I don't need a drummer, John's cool, real cool, but he's a drummer. He goes, he's playing guitar, he's writing these songs. And he was living in the same apartment complex. And me and Vinny went down there and had some beers. And the first song he played on a little, I can't remember if it was I don't remember. It was a 4 track. I don't even think it was an 8 track. Was Black. First
Wow.
one. First
Wow.
riff.
And so were you instantly just pulled in?
I immediately heard it and I was like, that's super cool. That's way cooler than what I was just doing with this. He didn't own a guitar strap. So I'm like, this is perfect. He doesn't have a clue of what he's doing, but he's cool as shit. Let's just go in and record your songs. And he goes, sure. Like, John's just always been like that, like shoulder shrug. I'm down with whatever you want to do. Sure.
Love those
Um,
guys.
oh
Low
man,
fuss.
writes 1,000 riffs, and I walk in and I go, let's change all this in your song. And he's like, cool. I'm
Wow.
just writing riffs for you, dude. Like, whatever you think. Not to say that he's just handing it over, but I mean, he's very much a team player.
But do
Um,
you actually play guitar yourself?
Very little, little piano, little guitar.
But would you contribute in that way? Or is it more just
Oh
like you
yeah,
can
yeah,
just
for sure.
okay, cool. Yeah, I figured
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So it was easy to like bar chord, dinosaur my way through this, but with this pattern, like let's do
Mm-hmm.
this drum wise. And that was really where the style came from for the band was I'm gonna do everything you're doing cha-cha-cha-cha on this. And Vinny, you just follow everything that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just let's just make it a train, which again wasn't reinventing the wheel because Pantera kind of did that. But Pantera did leave some breath in there. Like, Vinny was a beautiful human being as well as a player. And
Man.
that shit was crazy. Some of the ideas that he came up with was just like,
And even the production, like the stuff they did with Terry, like all of it, man. And yeah, I
yeah,
always got that vibe from him and Dime as people that they just seemed really lovely, eh?
oh, amazing human beings, amazing people.
Yeah.
you know so that was like, okay, we can chomp that a little bit, we're never going to make it anyway. Let's just have fun. That reminds me of something in that world. Then it's like, we can't sing, dude. Like, we got to get a singer here. And I had seen Lajon before, and we went to go eat somewhere, and he's like singing Pearl Jam songs in a restaurant. And I'm like eating, and I'm like, I want Lejean, dude. Lejean looks like he's got a little edge on him, but he's such a sweetheart. Like, he's such a sweet guy. I want that guy. I want to hang out with that guy. And John's like, he's like, he'll never do it. And I'm like, we'll take his guitar player with him and he'll do it. Like he was younger than us. And I'm like, he'll be too intimidated to come with us, but he won't if we bring the guitar player. So we did. And then we wrote like some songs. We recorded some stuff and we played some shows. And it just got to a point where the guitar player was just definitely not meshing, you know? And then that was when Clint came in.
Interesting. I think that like Layon was such a interesting addition too, and really gave you guys like quite an X factor because he can actually sing.
Yeah,
And you know, like a
definitely.
lot of the guys like Chino and stuff have their interpretation of singing, and I love Chino because he's so unique in what he does. But Layon
Absolutely.
can actually sing.
It was a wild thing in that when we first started, the songs that we were writing were a little bit different, you know, than what we sound like. I mean, it was heavy, but and it was aggressive, you know, and there were a lot of them that ended up on the first record. So it's not like we just like changed right before we got a record deal or something, but there were a lot of songs where like we had a compliment once that was the one that I really, really, that was when I thought, oh shit, if that comes across, that's going to be cool. And it was Angelo from Fishbone said, "You guys sound like us and Pantera." And I went, "That's awesome." I was
Wow, that's a
like,
cool compliment.
I'm like, I don't hear it, but if you hear it, you are Fishbone to me, you know, you and Fish, you know, and Norwood. I mean, they were all great, but I was like, damn, you
That's a
know,
cool
like
compliment.
if that's how it comes across, then that'll be fun, you know. And then of course, you know, there was people that would come in, they're like, you know, oh, I didn't know you had a black singer, and I'm like, me either, you know, it never entered my mind, you know,
Mm.
it really never entered my mind. um so I mean, the whole thing was just built on the brotherhood. That was it. It's the only advice I really give anybody that's putting a band together. I'm like, don't go audition a bunch of guys that can shred, because you know that's fine, but make sure you hang out with them. It's a marriage, you know, it's a relationship.
It's actually harder than a marriage because it's 5 times the personnel. And
Yeah,
I mean, I've been with my wife for 20 years now, and we're not the people we were when we were 20 when we met. And just to be constantly renegotiating the people that we're becoming as we get older and making sure we still align and stuff, that times 5 is
yeah, yeah,
insane. Add in a few
yeah.
beers, maybe a joint here and there, some sleep deprivation and expectations, and holy shit.
Well, yeah, for us it was a little more than that.
Yeah, I'm keeping it PC. I'm keeping it
Yeah,
PC.
I mean, that was when things got a little weird there in that middle section, you know, where it was like, oh,
Mm.
the bridge of this band is fucked.
So are we
But
talking around animosity and seasons and sort of that era?
Animosity, we were definitely off the rails.
It's a
Yeah.
great album, by the way, if it's any
It
consolation.
it took a year, and I believe that the dysfunction made the record, you know. I mean, I miss the fact, I wish you could turn that on for like and
Yeah,
turn it off. You
yeah.
know, like let's just get absolutely
The
fucking
wild,
bent
crazy shit.
and
Yeah,
turn it all the way there and then be like, "Woo, we're in a dangerous area," and just turn it off.
yeah.
Impossible. You know, it's just not possible. So we just turned it all the way there and then just let it kind of do that for a while, you know, just barely on the road. But the record was a lot of fun.
But the fact that you even survived that, man, I mean, and you guys have always been known for being heavy tourers. I think I read somewhere like you did 400 shows off the first album or something. Like
Yeah.
your work ethic as a touring band is fucking amazing, man.
Sometimes it was, you know, the beginning, that's the deal, you know. I mean,
Mm,
if you want to be noticed, you just keep going and you hope as a new artist that, you know, people will want to bring you out with them. I mean, we played New York 13 times on the first record alone, you
wow.
know, and it was like, and it started with 25 people at a little bar, and it ended with us headlining 4,000 people and selling out Hammerstein Ballroom 21 months later.
Well, that makes the point, eh? That just consistency and time, like just committing to it, committing to the cause, you can have that
Yeah.
sort of jump. I mean, it's much harder these days, obviously, but that's incredible.
It was like, you know, we were used to that. They asked us, the label said, we're like, okay, they're like, okay, well that's the end of your album cycle. You know, you guys need some time off, and then, you know, we'll go in and do a second record, you know, like we've succeeded, you know. So this little band from Georgia, you know, that had about 250 people that knew who they were, just sold 1 million records. So we've succeeded, you know, how much time do you need? And we're like looking at each other, we're like, 2 weeks. You know, they're like 2 weeks, you know, for what? We're like, you know, just 2 weeks, and then we can get together and start writing again. I mean, we really didn't know what else to do. We didn't really have any
Yeah.
money. You know, we'd sold a bunch of records, but we didn't make any money. And so it was like, oh damn, okay, they were really happy about that. And then, you know, the first batch of songs we did, they were like, these songs suck,
Yeah.
and they made us get out of Georgia because they were like, these guys are a mess. You know, we need to get them out of Georgia. And so we ended up in New Hampshire, uh, in the middle of nowhere, and we wrote home like first day. First day there, you know, was
What a
like,
song, man! That intro
I
riff.
guess.
You see double pedal work, man. It's beautiful.
I don't remember who did it. It might have been me. I would love to take credit for it. It could have been just me sitting in there going. It could have been that, and then of course, what are they going to do? You know, that's what we were doing then anyway. So, whoever, whether it be the rhythm side coming from me or this, it was always going to end up in the same place.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's the advice, you know, love the people that you're with, because you know, god forbid you actually succeed and you have to live in a tube driving down the road, you know, for 70% of your year after year. You know, you want to
Oh man.
be able to get along with them.
Totally. It's like Home is such a dark horse album too, because I mean one of the standouts for me is with Skin from Skunk Anansie, like hearing her
Oh
just do,
yeah,
man, what a voice, eh? Every time that track comes
unreal.
on, it's almost like, I don't know why, but for some reason when that song comes on, it's almost like hearing it with fresh ears each time, just because of how impactful she is.
She was ridiculous in there. She was ridiculous in there.
I can only imagine full voice, the power, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody had asked me about her today in an interview that I did, and it was wild
Oh,
because
really?
she came in and we had never even really met her. You know, we had played one show with them, and then I got the record, and I was like, man, this girl is serious business. I loved that band. And so we were, you know, getting ready to do the second record, and the label was like, I just said, man, I want to do some collabs on this record. Like, who you thinking? And I'm like, I want Chino.
Another great track.
And I said, but I like this girl that we played a show with on a festival. So they reached out to her, and she ended up coming to the studio in New Hampshire. They flew her ass from, you know, Europe into the studio, and she just owned it. I mean, she walked in and just schooled the whole room. I mean, we were like, oh shit, okay, you know, she's another level. We're some, we are definitely not in that league.
Do you mean just in the way that she carried herself and just her
Oh
proficiency,
yeah.
or yeah,
Yeah, she nailed, she walked in and wrote stuff like that. She sang it perfectly, one rip. It was like perfect. You
cool.
know, I was just like, this is crazy. Um,
That almost, not to derail, but it almost reminds me of the way that Chino talks about when Maynard came in and did Passenger with them, because they
yeah,
were just, skateboards and weed and video games, and Maynard came
yeah,
in like this militant soldier and was like, we're doing it like this, and we're doing, and just banged it out, and they were like, oh shit, there's another way that you can do this, organized.
yeah. I mean, that's a great one because the difference between Chino and Skin was two different planets.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in, you know, talent or ability. I
No,
just
no, no.
mean their way of doing things was completely different. So he walks in and he's like, I've listened to all this stuff. I'm kind of leaning, I'm feeling this one, you know, which was the one that Bender. So he's like, I'm feeling this, you know, why don't we go into like a room somewhere and we'll all just, you know, chill together, and I'll throw some stuff out, and when you hear something that you like, you know, point it and we'll just start going in that direction. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So all of us go in there, we're all waiting, and it happens, you know, where it starts, and you get the genie, he goes,
Love
uh,
it.
stop me. And I'm like,
Love it.
I don't know where the fuck to go with any of this. You know, I'm like, it sounds cool as shit to me. The guys have no idea because he's freestyling.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to do that either. So you went from one person that was like dead militant. This is an idea and it's bang. and then you went to a freestyler. So I was like, let's get some drugs and get hammered.
Perfect.
And then he was supposed to be there like that day, and I kept his ass there for like a week.
Oh, amazing.
You know, I mean, I had Chino, like, I mean, I probably could go to jail for some form of hostage situation. I mean, he was like, man, I really need to get back, man. I'm like, you're going nowhere. You know, just kept him medicated for a
Oh,
few extra days, you know, but we had
that's
such a great
hilarious.
time. And then, of course, you know, it was that thing where he's freestyling all this, and I'm like, it all sounds cool, but it sounds completely disconnected. Like, I have no idea how any of this would match. Like, I mean, it's just there's very little thing there's very few things being repeated. Like, there's no structure here. This is literally just, I'm gonna give you 1,000 different ways that I can sing this with no words, just syllables.
Hmm.
And I was like, he did something, and I'm like, I like that a lot. And then next thing I know, he walks into the control room and he's like, let's just track a few. And it just happened. He just started
Amazing.
doing Chino. You know, I was like, this guy's a fucking star.
So even though he's jamming, he is storing the information. It's
Yeah.
not like he's just hoping for the best. He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. Because I mean, that song in particular, he's so, which is classic Chino. He's a counter. He's atonal in some ways,
Yeah.
like, and that's what
Yeah.
makes his edition so good.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely one of my favorite artists, period. You know,
Same. And another band who just have like, lasted the test of time. I mean, they've had,
bigger than ever.
yeah, except bigger than
Bigger than
ever,
ever.
man. I mean, so cool. I mean, Abe's one of my favorites
Another
as
one.
well. I
Yeah.
mean, another guy with incredible hi-hat work, which he actually cites Carter. There's a really old modern drummer interview where he was talking about how he'd been listening to heaps of Carter Beauford before White Pony.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because that's the hi-hat album. If you're going to say that there's any one where he's kind of doing the most hi-hat stuff.
Yeah.
And I just love his pocket too, man, which is also back to you. That marry between facility and pocket don't always align. And Bonham's a good example of it because he had groove, but he had range as well. He could play.
Yeah.
And I can hear that. I mean, that's something that I've always loved about your playing, man, is that your facility range is so exceptional. And just hear me out. Like
Trying to get
seriously.
used to the compliments. They're not easy.
But dude, you obviously don't read the comments anywhere then, because like Morgan, like this is how people view you as a player, man. Like you're a cut above, man. You really are. And whether you choose to admit it or not, that's on you. But I'm just telling you how it is, especially from someone from the outside in. Your ability meeting your pocket is just absolutely exquisite, to the point where like playing along to your stuff is just so good because I know that it's drilling in pocket. And I spent many years playing along to your stuff, because I've always said to guys like, the groove or pocket is such an ambiguous term, and how do you develop it, right? And I've always said, well, you first of all, you've got to define it on what you think it is. So
Sure.
if I say like you're someone who I say who's got great pocket, or Carter or Abe, it's like, great, now you've identified what you think is pocket. Now go play to their music, man.
Yeah.
Just play along. And what you want to do is get so tight that you can't hear their drums anymore.
Yeah.
And I did this with all my guys, like John Otto,
He's got the
everyone, bro.
bounce.
And he's got the swing,
John Otto's he's the bounce man. I mean, it's like if you can't do that, it's woo.
I know. And like a combination of all of you guys. Oh man, he wrote some of my favorite drum parts of all time. And the thing that I like about him too is that he's a human, but he's playing like a loop machine.
Yeah.
And he commits to the parts too. He was never tom heavy. He was never chops heavy, but man, his splash work and just those little details,
Absolutely. He's another one of my favorite people. I love him dearly.
And you must have done many shows with those guys and stuff as well.
Oh yeah. They helped break us, really.
I mean, you come from such a cool community,
You know, it's wild. When we started, there was like no one that would take us out at all. So it was basically, we grabbed Snot and we met them on the streets in New York, and they were a West Coast version. We were an East Coast version of just guys that just wanted to kind of go a little off the rails, but were so energetic in a way that was the realest thing in the world. It was just a bunch of kids at a jungle gym, like we just could not stop moving, and nobody wanted to take that out. And I don't blame them. We were worth nothing. It's like, why the hell do you want to bring this band out to just cause problems, they don't bring people into the crowd yet, you know. So we had to earn
Mm.
it, and they had to earn it, and unfortunately, our dear friend passed away, and they didn't have a chance to go from that first record because they would have been a juggernaut. They would have been around right now too.
That album is amazing, man. I listened to it when I was in Europe on tour because I was, just I listened to just so much music on tour, and Snot came back up, and it is such a good album, man.
Unreal, unreal, and they would have been, you know, if they, it would have been the same, you know, like they were that West Coast version of us,
Mm.
and it was this energy, and you know, that was where it started, and then everybody was up for this Limp Bizkit tour, and we got it, and they hadn't broken fully yet, but they did while we were out with them. We were out with them when they did MTV Spring Break, and it all happened right then.
Wow.
And then it was like it went from we're selling the shows out to like the shows are way sold out, and people are like killing people to get in here. And so we left that tour, and all of a sudden, you know, you're playing in front of a packed house every night. It was like we had an audience now. So
Amazing.
they definitely helped provide that. And then, you know, there was all the bands that were right before us, you know, Deftones and Korn, and they were right before us. Um, but it was a small community then. It really
Mm.
was. I mean, you know, like Sugar Ray was part of our the West Coast side of our community.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like he was in that. Incubus opened up for us. You know,
Another
they were
great
coming out
band,
about the
another
same
great
time.
drummer. Jose had a huge impact on me,
Absolutely,
man.
huge player. Um, yeah, System was coming out about the same time.
Mm.
You know, they were
What a
they were
rad
playing on
time
the
for
second
music, bro.
stage. I mean, the tour, the Ozzfest that we did that year was Ozzy was headlining, and then it was Tool, Megadeth, Soulfly, Limp Bizkit, us on the main stage, and Coal Chamber was on the main stage too. And then on the other stage, it was Motorhead, Snot, uh, Life of Agony, Incubus, System of a Down.
Holy
They're on the
shit.
second stage. That second stage just took over, you know,
That's
like
yeah.
it went from that tour to just take over the world, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Far out.
yeah, and so that was our summer camp, you know, like that was we all loved each other and hung out together and partied and had a great time together. And and then it started to happen, you know, then the band started to really, you know, the heavy style started to really get going. You know, there was no Slipknot yet. You
Yeah,
know, there
true.
was no you know, nobody had heard, you know, I remember like Meshuggah and Gojira were like that stuff's super heavy. It's never gonna be popular. I loved it. Poise loved it. That's not gonna be popular music. And of course,
Mm.
you know, it's a
Sugar,
juggernaut.
man. I mean, it's funny. Like, there's two things I want to say. The first one is that Frederick Thorndale started messaging me around the similar time that you and I started talking. And once again, I was like, this can't be Frederick. Like, why the? And he was asking me for single kick advice because he was learning the drums. And I'm like, bro, you've got fucking Thomas Hark and Morgan Agron at your like disposal. Please don't message me this sort of stuff. And he was sending me videos and whatnot. Yeah, that whole era of that early Meshuggah stuff, I think it's a testament to the genre and as a whole growing over the years that stuff then had the ability to become such prevalent mainstream. I don't want to say mainstream, but I mean Meshuggah for me
Yeah,
are the sort of the forefathers of what people now call gent, which I don't like that term, but just that
right.
style and they're pretty
Sure.
untouchable, man. They're pretty untouchable.
Yeah.
Eh? People try and touch them, but they're not. They're touching cloth at best, you know.
It's a machine, you know, like when that thing happens, you know, you just grab, you know, it's a tornado coming through the room. So you just grab something stable and just be like, because I know if I like, anytime that I've listened to them and I hear something that's new, anytime there's something for the first time, I'm just like bracing,
Yeah, yeah. Grab
you
the
know,
sides
like
of the chair. Eh?
you have
That's right.
no idea what's about to happen. It's something that's going to happen, you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
and so, yeah, that style, I mean, that was the thing is that, you know, that was probably the thing that put me in a little bit of a self-deprecating place
Ah,
was
okay.
that when we started, there was very little. I mean, we're talking about phenomenal players when we're talking about, you know, Jose, when we're talking about John, both Otto and my brain just went crazy, and I love him, but System,
Oh, John
Dolman,
Dolmanian.
Dolman,
Yeah.
yeah, and Jamie from Snot. When we're talking about these guys are all great players, but there's just a few guys, and we were before that, we were playing with rock bands. Again, really good players. I played with a lot of guys in these rock bands that were really good players, but aggression and energy can do a lot of damage, so you feel a little bit band wise. It was like we were a gang, so band wise we're bullying up on these bands, not because we're any better than they are by any stretch. It's just that it's a different style.
Yeah.
It ended up being the thing where it's like, be careful about picking on these rock bands, that are just doing their thing. You're over here smacking them, and they're just doing their thing. They're not trying to get in your lane. Go ahead and stick Meshuggah up against Sevendust and let us play a few shows together. We'll get bitch slapped real quick. We're Bon Jovi on that show.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. And that's respecting what they are. I mean, they started in 89, man. And I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking to Thomas about just the longevity thing, and it does kind of bring up a question I want to bring up a little bit later, but just given that where you're at with your playing and whatnot in your career, I do want to talk about sort of how you view drumming now as someone that's always been in the context and sort of the last 30 years, not always, because you've like the last 30 years has been in the context of Sevendust as a songwriter, as a drummer and everything. And that initial gusto that you have when these things are happening compared to the maintenance of it now. And I actually mean that mentally and physically. A, do you still care about the drums? Don't answer that just yet. And B, have you had to make physical adjustments for? I've watched you play recently, and you're still very physical, and I'm super concerned about your shoulders. But hang on, before I get on to that, which I do want to talk about, can I ask a question about because we're talking about Snot, a song that's really, really special for me, and I didn't even realize this happening at the time, is that my old lady passed away maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago. And at the time, I was learning Angel's Son on guitar, just because I kind of like, I've always played guitar, but I tap
Yeah.
into these sort of more, the ballad stuff. I love it. And to me, Angel's Son is very much like, in terms of the I suppose the contrast, it's like your guys' Cemetery Gates almost. And emotionally, that song imprinted on me really hard at the time, and it was happening. I'd already known the song, and I obviously knew Insecure as well. So like the origins of that is almost like a melodic tie over
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions. One, who made the call to turn Insecure into Angel's Son? And where does that song sit with you now? I'm just curious, because it's just still one of my favorite songs of all time. And whatever you guys were trying to achieve with that, lyrically, musically, and what it was about, you definitely achieved it. And so I want to know how that song sits with you emotionally, being in the middle of it.
Well, I mean, that was like the beginning of lyrics meaning something for the band. I mean, you look back on our lyrical content, and it's like the first record is just all over the place. I mean, I don't even know what the hell we're talking about half the time. And I mean, and I promise you that if you go back and pull them up, you'll be like, oh, now I get it. Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Brilliant.
Uh, I mean, I'm sure that there's something in there that means something. I'm not trying to say, it's, pointless words, but we started to get uh, into like, somebody's in trouble. We're going after somebody here. This guy did this, so we're going after him or whatever. And then, it was all primitive, it's almost like we kind of learned how to write lyrically around the Angel Sun tracking, because
Wow.
it was something that was like really important. It was the first person that we had lost, because it was about Lynn, and Lynn had passed away in the car wreck. And it's impossible to to convey what they meant to us. It was like he passed away, um, and it was like life changing, devastating. Like we just never had any. We never lost anybody. We were just that young, So it was like, and we were so close, and still to the rest of the band, but we were so close together. It was such a love that we had for each other, that it was a true brother that we had lost. So doing that song, Lajon tells the story where, we got into the studio and, he like gets into the control room and he really didn't have anything written. So he just started like from the cuff, it just started happening. And I believe that Clint wrote the chorus. Um, but we started to piece that together and we're like, we're writing this about him. I mean, we're here. The original version of that was me, Clint, LeJean with, I believe, Mikey and Toomer and Sonny,
Oh wow.
I believe, you know. And then we ended up putting it on the Animosity record. Uh,
So Insecure was written as an instrumental piece initially, and then you guys realized that you could use that as like just because it is an emotional piece on its own.
yeah,
Wow, what a
yeah,
great call!
yeah.
It fits so
I,
well as an
I,
intro.
oh man, how bad I want to take credit for that, and I might have done it. I might have done it. I couldn't tell you.
No one's going to fact
I
check.
always,
It's all yours, buddy.
I need, I always need John to tell me what I wrote and what I didn't write and what decision I made. And I mean, there's times that I'll sit there, I'll be like, man, that's such a cool chorus, and he goes, yeah, man, you killed it.
And the pre-chorus,
That was definitely Clint.
beautiful, man. And I've watched a lot of acoustic versions of that. Luckily, you guys have done not one. You weren't there, but like the
Yeah,
boys just doing two-piece of it,
yeah,
and man, it just translates so well in a band, but as an acoustic piece as well. I love it.
yeah. I mean, it's a very important song for sure. It caused a ruckus. It caused a ruckus in the sense that, we really didn't kind of mellow out on the first two records. And then the third record comes along and we go into mass production level. Like,
Mm,
let's bring in Ben Gross and let's make everything sound really big and take the edge off and make us sound like an arena band.
mm,
So when that record was done, I was like, dude, we can't do any better than this, especially not in the shape that we were in. Like it's amazing that this thing sounds like this. And it was a mixed bag. I believe that was where it all started to happen too, where I think Slipknot was coming in pretty shortly, and all of a sudden it was like there's some traffic here, and the traffic is heavy and it's super aggressive
yeah,
and scary.
yeah.
So,
The Slipknot introduction into the scene must have been really great for you guys as well. Like everyone just sort of lifting everyone up.
yeah, it definitely brought the heavy stuff to the forefront. It was doing well, but that was like, it was like Korn was the king. And I think they'll always
Absolutely.
I think they'll always still be the king. I mean, like they just started something that was so unique, and but it was like you need a partner. Every king needs somebody in there with them. They need a group to roll with them. And when Slipknot came in and that thing grew really quick like that, it was like, oh damn, we have another big one in here now. And then they started coming, and that was really what my long-winded way of getting to where it was like playing wise, I felt pretty confident when we were you know, more aggressive than the rock bands. And then all of a sudden this onslaught of players came in and I was like, oh shit, man, they're coming from everywhere. And then now it's like, oh man,
Oh,
I'm
dude,
just gonna sit over here. Cause I mean, it's
not at all.
and it's happening quick.
I know what you mean, but that's like imposter syndrome is like such a creative state because it means that you're attaining to a higher version of yourself. Like, and so I say this to all my students: like, if you weren't dealing with some sort of imposter syndrome, then you're not progressing in any way because it's you comparing yourself to a better version of yourself, which is only a good thing. You just got to not get chokehold by it, and you don't need any advice from me.
No, I
I'm
mean
just
it's
saying, like,
helpful.
interpret it.
It's helpful because I'm telling you, I'm on the ledge. I'm on the ledge on a daily basis. You know, it,
Listening to your other podcasts and your interviews, it sounds like you've been on that ledge for a while, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I built that ledge.
I think it's yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's reinforced. I think it's part of your charm, eh? Yeah, and, David Silvera from Korn and obviously Joey Jordison, much like the names that I mentioned before, had a profound impact on me as well. Pocket, style, flair, and all of that. And it's funny being at this age. I'm 41 now, and I just look at and Brad Wilk is another great one to mention as well. I'm so grateful for taking an interest in these players long enough for them to have some sort of impact on me, because it all sort of comes together in the Super Bowl, much
Yeah.
like, including yourself and all of that. And I suppose what I want to do now, if you don't mind, like a little bit of a sort of back end shift, talking more about, I want to do a bit of a chat about your setup and if it's changed much over the years and how your physicality, have you had to deal with anything, injuries or anything like that? And if you have to kind of change your style a little bit on the road. And then I'd also just like to talk about, you've got the One tour coming up, you've got your new album coming out, the two tracks you've dropped are awesome. And the new album drops on my birthday, which is the 1st of May, which I just find quite interesting.
That's my dad's birthday too.
Whoa,
Yeah,
really? Oh, there
that's
you
it.
go.
Yeah,
There's a funny connection there.
two of my faves on May 1st.
Yeah, bro. J Day. I think it's J Day anyway.
It's crazy.
So let's talk about your setup. Like, it's been pretty consistent because I've been through photos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the physicality of how you're approaching it, heights and stuff like that? You've always reminded me a little Mike Borden with your toms, super flat.
Yeah.
Man, do you use 20-inch kick drums?
There was a time that I used 20, then I moved it to 22 because,
Okay.
the funny thing is that my texts really dictate most of it. And we actually,
Mm.
you asked me that question probably an hour ago and I never really answered it. It's not a revolving door. It is, remember that question like an
I
hour
do.
and a half
It
ago?
was in jest, but if you want to
Yeah.
go there, let's do it.
Well, the reality of it is that it works in the context of this because some of them, they come in, they do the gig and they roll. When we weren't touring a lot, these guys need, to be able to work.
Yeah.
So I literally would have 4 or 5 guys on call
Gotcha.
that all knew how to do the setup. My main guy, uh for the big kits, like for a good chunk of time, was Pooch, um, who was in Amen after Larkin.
Hmm.
He would just design these drum sets and he'd be like, I'm thinking we do this and I think we do this. And I'd be like, yeah, man, do it. Like no thought of like what I would do with that. Almost like I'm gonna give you a new kit to play and just learn how
Wow.
to play it. And I was like, okay, okay, And then one day he's like, hey man, you know what you're gonna do on the next album? And I'm like, what? He goes, 2 kick drums. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know about that. I've gotten used to the pedal. And he goes, screw that, man. We're doing headliner kit, 2 kick drums. Like,
Love it.
okay, let's do kick drums. So we did that for a while. Then we went back to one, and then he retired and I had a bunch of other guys that came in. I had one guy build a kit uh, that I kind of just told him the same thing. Hey, man, build something cool. He was at my house. I'm like sitting in the house eating, watching TV. He's in the basement putting together a drum set, and the rack and everything. And he goes, "You want to come down here and look at this?" And I'd come down and sit. I'm like, "Yeah, man, so it looks cool to me." Back up here, like no thought of any of it.
Yeah.
That one was a little cockeyed and it kind of fucked me up. Like
Okay.
we couldn't really do much about it. So I was like, okay, I got to go back to my guy to build these kits, even though he's retired. Um, and then I got Eddie Mead, who is my primary, who has been my primary tech for years now. And so he started building kits, and I noticed they started to get a little smaller and, less drums, less cymbals.
Right.
And I'm like, after a while, I'm looking around. I'm like, this guy don't want to set up all this stuff. He's like he's making his job easier. So without him knowing, while he was busy doing like Creed or somebody this year, because he does Scott Phillips as well. Uh, while he was busy doing that, I called my old man Pooch and I said, hey man, I need you to build a monster kit. So
Love
he's
it.
been building this thing. And he sent me a picture of it the other day, and I'll see it on the 12th when I go in for rehearsals, and I'll be learning how to play it on the 12th, and then a show 3 days later.
But does he know your heights? And I mean, obviously he does because he's worked with you before. Like, are you making adjustments? Like, are you kind of, no, he
No,
knows everything pretty well?
yeah, there's no real adjustments on anything. Everything's pretty simple. It's all kind of down, you know. I had two buddies that had some medical stuff go on with them that wasn't good, and both of them liked to play up. It was here, so the shoulder stuff you were talking about earlier, they're terrible. They're always in pain.
Really?
Neck. Oh yeah, I'm always dealing with that stuff. Back, neck. I just sent some receipts to our accountant because I was like, been to the back doctor 3 times since I've been home.
Fuck yeah, because I mean I've had some back issues in the past, but I'm nowhere near as physical as you, and I did definitely And so, like, are you doing ice baths and things like that? Are you doing like after tours and
Yeah, we do some ice baths. That'll definitely come back into the mix on this
amazing?
run. We have a portable one that we bring out with us that me and Clint will get in there every night. But and they help.
Mm.
You know, they really do help a lot. I remember
Mm.
feeling and they help with a lot of stuff. You know, I would feel rested, because it's just
Absolutely.
beating the shit out of your nervous system. So it's like by the time that thing calms down, if you want to treat yourself right with a little snack, and possibly if you want a glass of wine or not, and relax and get on the bus and put a movie on, you're like, I'm good with going to bed. Like it's a different world. Um, I felt better physically when we were doing that consistently. I'm in the gym a lot. Uh,
That's what I was going to ask you is the way that you approach knowing that it does beat you down. And I assumed you were healthy in that perspective. So you do maintenance through gym work and things like that.
yeah, I had a girl that I dated for a while that was super knowledgeable in that world. So, I mean, without question, I mean, I could probably at any time walk up and go, "This one's bothering me," and she'd be like, "Well, let's work on this." She definitely was well beyond a certified trainer,
Wow.
but she definitely educated me a lot on what I could do in there, at least the basics and the things to strengthen if I have an issue with this. And some weak area here could be helped with some strength movement over here. So I try to just stay mobile as best I can. And, I have a wellness guy that I go to for the back that's not just cracking me and doing that. There's a lot of hip adjustments and
Good.
making sure that, where the core is, set right.
That sounds more like an osteo rather than a chiropractor.
Yeah,
Osteos have
yeah.
got a bit more substance, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
My osteo is a drummer as well, which helps.
That helps a lot. That helps a lot. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
most of these guys, they look at you and they're, you tell them, I play drums, and they're like, oh, yeah, posture. And I'm like, yeah, I play like that, and then they look at it and they're like, "Well, what the hell are you doing? That's not drums." I'm like, "I know." And then I've fooled everyone. you
Yeah.
know?
It's almost like you're fitting drumming in between your Cirque du Soleil act or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's so ridiculous.
Do you can I ask, like, in between tours and songwriting, do you play the drums at all at this point, or are you just
Never.
yeah, okay, I figured so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have one. I have an electronic kit here that I mean, I just don't even play it.
What are your feelings towards drumming now? Like, do you still love it, or do you see it very much as like a it's your job, obviously, but what are your feelings towards drumming now?
It's wild. It's like I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And this is pretty wild. Like the makeup thing was a big deal. And the reason why was because I started to go through some mental stuff where it all kind of ties into what you're talking about. The physical side of things was scaring me
Mm,
because there's no way to really turn it off. It's like the lights
okay,
go out and I can't turn it off. I just can't. I might be able to kind of like govern it a little bit at times if I'm really, I'll just go as far as I can really go. Um, so there would be these feelings of like, I don't really know if I'm going to make it tonight. Like, I don't know what's going to
wow,
break on me tonight. And I'm having so much anxiety over it, not to the point of panic disorder, because I had that, but I've pretty much conquered that. But the anxiety part of it, super popular for people to talk about, oh, the anxiety, and I'm like, I mean, there's some real anxiety out there, Being stressed out is not having anxiety,
yeah,
like having anxiety where it's like, this is going to affect me in a serious way here. And I was like, this is debilitating because it's not that I'm having panic problems. What I'm doing is I'm burning a lot of adrenaline in the room before I get up on the deck.
Got you.
So now I'm getting on the stage and I'm tired, and it's
Yeah.
almost like anything else that's physical, you know, you're in a position of you could hurt yourself worse by not being strong.
Mm.
Um, so it would inevitably I would just be in pain all the time. And
Wow.
some days it would be so bad that I was like, I really don't know how I can do it. Like I just don't know how I can do it. And everybody just, I mean, I did a lot of bitching, you know, a lot of griping about it because, and nobody can help you, you know,
No
like
one can
nobody in
help
my,
you. And the
and they
show has
don't
to go
really,
on.
100%. And those guys, they don't feel, you know, like they're 20 anymore either. So they're looking at me like, here he goes again, you know, and I'm like, I'm definitely playing harder than you guys, you know, and they're like, whatever, dude.
I do feel for any vocalist, I feel like vocalists have to deal with a different sort of maintenance that
Definitely.
uh you know, like it's a similar sort of full body experience, and like anything can throw them out. The
Oh,
preparation,
yeah,
food, a sniffle, I mean, the
definitely.
maintenance is on a whole different level. I mean, I've been like hungover as all shit on the drums, no one knew. I've been like, you know, throwing up in between songs. This is when I was a bit younger, and probably not worth mentioning now, but also, like, you know, I've damaged my wrist and shit like that, and thought,
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know if I'm going to get through this drum clinic or whatever.
Yeah.
But the level of physicality that you engage in, which I love, that it's just proxy of your style. I love it that you find you're like, maybe I can govern it, but probably not. There's something really awesome about that. You're going to go down with the ship, man. I love it. You know.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And have, you know, I mean, you know,
Yeah, and I think it kind of almost ties back to the start where I was saying, like, because you're sitting there saying, I wish I'd done this and wish I'd done that, and if you were to sort of follow any of those thoughts, it would mean that I'm not talking to the Morgan that I'm talking to, or appreciating the Morgan that I'm appreciating now. And you know, me personally, I live a life of no regrets, because they all just sort of add up, whether good or bad, to the people that we are now. And
yeah,
I, I think it's just a way to think about things, as like, there's only one path, you know, there's only one situation, and it's the one that we're currently in. And I think you've got a pretty fucking good situation with what you do, you know.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know, there's been a jump, you know, there's been a thing for me mentally where again, the makeup was really just had nothing to do with being visual. Had nothing to do with it.
It's almost like a shield that you can get behind.
I mean, I actually felt super uncomfortable about doing it because I was like, I'm not like two records in here. I'm reinventing myself right now by doing this, and this isn't what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do this so you go, you know, what's up with the makeup? You know, like I'm not. I didn't want to answer any questions. I didn't want to be seen, really. That's the irony to the whole thing.
Yeah,
It literally was
and you
just
shouldn't have to.
me sitting there and drawing a line on my face and then doing it and spending time doing it. And while I was doing it, I realized I'm not thinking about how bad I'm going to hurt myself. So for the hour
Oh, it's a
while I'm doing
pre-show
it,
ritual.
it's a pre-show thing.
Love it.
The whole thing starts with I'm talking to my buddy Joe Letts, who he plays with Linderman, and you know, he's a dear friend of mine, and he's over the top visually. Like he does the most insane stuff, you know, visually. It's out of control. And he just is like, why don't you pay yourself up? I'm like, you know, people will laugh. And I almost thought to myself, I remember when I was told that I was playing stiff and that my personality did not match the way I played the drums back when I was younger, and that I said, well, if I were to play the way I feel like playing, people would laugh at it. So
Wow.
it had the same effect where I was like, I don't really care. It's not for you. You know, this isn't for anyone. This is not what you think it is. I'm just trying to distract myself from doing something. So, you know what? Yeah, man, maybe I'll do that. He starts sending me like ideas, and I started like talking to him about it, but he was sending me these ideas. They were so outrageous that it was just like, no, there's no way. And, I mean, there's no way. And I end up in a dressing room, and there's like a, you know, a pen in there, like a makeup pen. And I'm just sitting in there, another night of stress and anxiety over the fact that I'm probably going to hurt something tonight. And I look over and I see this used, you know, makeup pen, and I'm like, who the hell knows who it belongs to? And I just take it and just start drawing on myself, and I just covered it all in to where the very first version that I did of it was just from here all the way down was black.
I've seen that. It looks awesome.
And Lejean walks in, he goes, oh shit, blackface.
Oh no, you don't need that in
I'm
2026.
like, I'm like, I cannot win, man. I'm like, no, it's not, you know. And then I'm like, so then I had to modify it, you know, but I had no idea what I was doing. And then I sent him out. I was like, man, give me a bunch of markers, a bunch of, makeup pens, and, give me a bunch of colors. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I knew that just doing it that night calmed me down a little bit. And they called me the crow. The vocal thing was that, it was like they would joke about it. You go, put the crow in the vocal booth. So I kind of did this mental thing of like, that's what it is. It's like a crow, black, here, and I'm adding to it. And I was gonna do some eyes in there, but I might not, and just kind of screwing around. But it's not really the point. The point is to do something that occupies my time. And then it became something, then it became people saying, oh man, that's really cool. And I'm like, oh man, like I don't know what I was expecting. And I don't really read the comments because I don't care, or I don't want to.
It's probably more
One or
truthful,
the
eh? Let's
other.
be honest.
you know I mean, probably that. I've seen a few of them in the back in the day where I'm like, yeah, we're good here. Let's not go search in the comments section anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I I ended up getting to a point where the face-to-face discussions I would have with people that liked it made me feel more comfortable in that I was doing it. And then my tech in Europe is like, this whole thing that you're doing is it's great. And I told him why and all that. He goes, that's cool. That's even cooler, like, but he was really the one that started to build my confidence. It's hard because I'm posting up a few videos here and there, and let me tell you, like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I mean, I can barely get on this call, and I
Your
have no
posts look
idea
great,
how to.
man. So you do all that yourself, your social stuff.
Well, he did the first one because he was the one that said we're going to do some drum cams, and I'm like, oh no, 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 we don't want to do that.
Oh,
Like
dude,
I
yes,
don't
you
want to do. I
do.
don't. And he's like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing it, and you're gonna be surprised. And I'm like, so I'm not a real big social media guy. I mean, I might look at it, but I don't post a lot. I don't bring attention in there. And I mean, I'm so self-conscious in my world that like you can't even comment on my shit unless you follow me because I had enough of that.
Wow.
So I don't, it's not worth that much to me.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for that kind of attention, to
Hmm.
where it's like, ooh, I could get more likes if I just let you talk shit on me on here. No interest.
Yeah.
I'm definitely past that world. And so I just wasn't part of it. I wasn't a big poster guy. And,
Hmm.
but I kind of had a bunch of stuff go on at once. I went through a breakup. I had gotten ill again when I went to Europe, so I was just kind of like a few weeks in, kind of let the sting a little bit of the breakup kind of bail off of me a little bit, and started to feel better. And then he's like, "We're gonna do these drum camps." I'm like, "Oh God, I'm just starting to feel better, dude, and you want to do this shit?" So he puts this thing up and he films the show, right? And he's like, all we're going to do is find 30-second clips and you'll see what happens. And I'm like looking through, and every like 7 or 8 seconds, there's another fuck up. So
Hardly.
I'm like, I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, dude, it's unusable. I'm like, there's just 30 seconds in between songs you could use if you want to
Oh
do
my
that, you
god,
know? And
you
there's
are
like,
hilarious.
so it was just like, oh my God. And it really is pretty bad. Like, I mean, even listening back on it, like the first one that he put together, that was like, to me, that was the best we could find out of that show. And it was just like, the double kicks are not clean, I hear these guys now, and that shit is so precise, man. And I'm listening to me, and I'm like, it's just janky.
Not at
So,
all, man, not at all.
so we put the post up, right? Puts the post up. Here I am, out to the world, with my little makeup on, and we're gonna do a drum cam, and it does like, I think it's at like 500,000 people looked at it,
Mhm.
and I'm like, dude, I've never had more than like 100,000 people look at anything ever. So I'm like, what the hell, dude? And he goes, yeah, man, we're doing this. And I'm like, I don't know, man, so kind of do a little bit. And then he's like, put another one up. And now I got to do it on my own. Now I've got to find a little clip. It's janky as shit. I mean, I even think that was my comment on my own playing. I just said janky. Like, it's just, like, I'm sorry, it's just fucking janky, But anyway, we put that one up. That one's like at like 800,000, and I'm like, oh no,
You
dude,
should be really
attention.
taking this feedback on, like, the people are telling you, man, what they think of your playing.
It's it it's just it all goes back to the first 20 minutes we were talking, where it's like, for a person that doesn't want to be seen or have any attention, you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it by what's going on up there.
Yeah.
But it's really the way that I feel, I'm just trying to like, I'm just trying to get by, I'm trying to get by. I'm trying to keep myself physically okay long enough to where I can keep the thing moving, because once it gets to a place where I'm like, I can't do, I mean, I already know that the step is lost, and it doesn't feel like it, and it's, I mean, this new metal site keeps posting up old videos, and I'm like, oh shit, man, that's a lot of testosterone going on back then. I mean, it's just like,
Do you relate to that player?
I do, but I think that player is more here. It's like, I think that's what I'm doing. Like, I feel like that's what I'm doing while I'm up there. And then, I mean, they only needed to post a few, and I'm like, okay, I don't need to look at all that. And then I look at, through drum cam stuff that I have to post, and I'm like, oh man, this poor old dude. That is like a shell of that kid. But you know it is what it is. I mean, for a guy that's been doing it for 30 years, I mean, I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm having a really good time doing it for the first time in a long time.
That's amazing, man. What a great place to be at. And even just the idea of just I love how you said, I'm just trying to get by, man. It doesn't matter what level and what you've done. I think that's what everyone's just trying to do, eh? I mean, you're a little bit more self-deprecating than what you need to be, but I also think it's part of your charm as well. Like, you are very affable, which I think is it's a good personality trait. I mean, it is to a fault a little bit, because you do need to accept that you have literally influenced thousands, if not tens, if not hundreds of thousands of drummers slash musicians for the last 30 years straight. And that needs to be acknowledged, man. The influence of you as a player, but the influence of you as a band member and the unit that is Sevendust, man. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be on this call. And I sure as hell fucking appreciate it. And I even put I put a thing in my story saying any questions for Morgan, and I got inundated, man. Most of them I've addressed, because I was like, well, I was going to ask that anyway. But yeah, that's because, man, like, people really appreciate what you've done and what you're still doing, and doing incredibly fucking well.
Humbled that you would say that. I mean,
I mean it, man.
it's a cool. I mean, I've been self-deprecated enough on this call that I can say that, being honest, when you see that there's the reaction that comes from that, it's humbling, it is like I haven't liked attention because I've seen the ugly side of what attention is, to win a modern drummer award and then win two of them and then have people go in and say, who the fuck is this guy? He's jack shit. You need thick skin, to be in the world. In this world now, you need incredibly thick skin. You cannot listen to the
Oh
guy that
man.
says this old cryptic fuck needs to wrap it up. It's you just have to try to avoid it or do whatever you can to just shrug it, And we do. You were right. I have seen the comment areas in certain places where I'm like, Sevendust gets a lot of love. There's a lot of respect that goes through it,
Fuck yeah.
and very little of the ugliness that I've seen in other people's stuff. I part of you says, well, that's because we're not as big as them, and the other part is like, that's good because I don't want it. I don't want the ugly
Yeah, it's
stuff.
interesting. I don't think I've ever come across any negative stuff. Yeah, I was just thinking about it then, especially in terms of your playing. I've just always seen praise for you, and it's funny. Like when my son was like my oldest is 21 now, and when he was 14 or 13, he was having a bit of trouble at school with some boys, just classic school shit. And he said, "Yeah, these guys just don't like me, and I find it really frustrating." And I said back to him, I was like, "Do you like them?" And he goes, "Nah." And I was like, that's okay, eh? Like not everyone needs to like everyone. And
That's
also
pretty
like
cool.
it's like your sovereign right not to be inspired by something you see. That I think where we get it wrong with social media is we feel the need to tell people that. But the point is that I had to kind of listen back to my own advice because I went and did Drumeo a few years ago, and that was a highly stressful situation at the time. And when I sort of came out of that experience, I got exposed to a much larger audience than my drumming audience. I got exposed to every other genre's drumming audience that were following Drumeo, and people let me know. They let me know that they didn't approve of my playing, and it was
That's
so funny because
that's
it was around the same
insane.
time.
That's insane to
Oh,
me.
you know what? But that's their right, though, right?
I'm doing that thing. You just gave me the. I'm going to do that thing, in June.
Fuck yes, you are.
I'm absolutely petrified.
You don't need to be Morgan. You just need to go back to what Bozio said, or even Joe Picaro, like just saying, just be you, man. Like that's literally the best thing that you can do. And
Yeah.
one thing that I got from that experience personally was that I did the best version of me, and that I could look back on it 10 years later and be like, "Fuck yeah, that kid killed it."
Yeah.
Um, and people don't need to like my playing. I don't want everyone to like my playing as well, because what I've got through actually just appreciating guys like you. Because one thing that I would say about you and guys like Carter and even Abe, and like there's certain individuals similar to like, Meshuggah has a sound where you go, that's a Meshuggah thing, right? Well, I think in drumming, that's a Morgan Rose thing. Like you've got such a defined sound that when I hear certain things, I'm like, man, that's such a Morgan thing, which is awesome because you've surpassed the instrument itself, and your voice has like imposed such a heavy influence on it that that's what you hear. And that could only be anyone's goal, really, that in a sea of musicians, you actually have a voice that comes through in that. And that's awesome, man.
Oh, this has turned into a crazy conversation. I mean, it's so appreciated that you think that. And
I'm not trying to fluff you up, by the way.
no, no, I mean, I hear you, and that's like I said, it's like it's a hard thing to be. This thing goes back a long way.
Hmm.
Like I was not a popular kid. It was not a place. My upbringing was not a place of positivity, and it was an ugly spot. And I'm not gonna go into like woe is me mode at all. I'll just tell you that that's where the development was. The development of insecurity came very early,
Hmm.
and that's where getting accolades and things like that were super uncomfortable because it's like, no, 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 I don't deserve any of that. And to this day, I really didn't think that I deserved to win any of that stuff. But I'll take it. I got to where I was like, but I'll take it.
Good.
I'll take it, and I'll take it, and I'll give it to my mom and my dad, and I'll be like, you're good. You like it, so that makes me happy to make you happy. Um, but no question that the insecurities in that world were developed early. So
Like they are for a lot of people, unfortunately. Eh?
yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely. and I do massive amounts of therapy, and I love it.
Mm.
It always keeps me grounded, and I've had moments of these conversations. This has had its own therapeutic side for me.
Oh, awesome. That's great. I could only hope that's great.
And that part of it, because it affects everything. Everything in this band has affected everything outside of it. From the relationships I have. When I made the comment of, yeah, we've been around together so long because we don't communicate. Well, you know what? How do you think that goes when you go back to the house?
Mm.
I don't want to talk about it.
Mm.
I don't want to talk about that heavy shit.
Mm.
I'm sure that I've lost relationships, number of them over that. The defensiveness comes out because I'm used to people like, just talk shit to one of your friends about me. Don't tell me how fucked up I am,
Yeah.
because it's not that bad.
Mm.
It's not that bad.
Mm.
But instead, you'll tell me, and then I'm like, "No, no, 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 no," and then I go into defense mode and all that stuff, and
And it's a breakdown. And
misdirection, and before you know it, we've got a reversal, and you know,
I feel like all we're ever dealing with is the traumas of the first 20 years, or like even for the 15 years that our parents imposed on us.
yeah, yeah,
And unpacking that for the
agreed,
next fucking 60 years. Me and my wife
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about this stuff all the time. And like, there's just little seeds that pop up in ourselves. And I'm like, well, where the fuck did that come from? And you got to start going through the data bank and the memories. And you're like, oh, that's because of that. Fuck.
yeah. Oh man, I mean, the worst part is when you get the apology.
Mm.
You get the apology, and mine came like one of them from mom, from dad. It came in my 30s. From mom, it came later. It came 40s.
Wow.
And I was totally good with both. It was such a relief for me. I was like, oh man, just this feeling that you understand, for real. Like, you hear what I had to say about, how bad that was. It was not a good situation from two different areas. My abandonment issues are built off of this shit,
Mm-hmm.
and my insecurity is built off of this. And it affects everything that I do. And then they apologize, and you're like, oh my God. I mean, I'm crying to them of how much I appreciate it and all this. And it doesn't change a fucking thing.
Those those roots are firmly fucking ingrained, eh?
It's wild because you're like, but I forgave them. So I'm in therapy, immediately after this. 20 years ago, I'm talking to them about this shit. And I'm like, man, I don't know why I have these problems still. Like, I totally forgive, like, wholeheartedly have nothing negative to say about my parents at all.
Mm.
Like, they were children when they had me.
Mm.
I look at what I was doing when I was their age, and it's like, I'm lucky to even be alive. I mean, I probably it would have been worse. So it's just like, why am I still like that? And the story I got was, you know, guys walking down the street, elderly woman loses control of her car, runs over the guy on the side of the street, breaks his leg. She gets out of the car and she's crying and begging for forgiveness for running the guy over. And he's like, what do you think the guy's doing? Is he mad at her? And he's like, and I'm like, I mean, maybe, but I mean, she's apologizing. What can you do with that? Unless you want to bury somebody, like, you just accept it. And he goes, yeah, he forgives her because it was an accident. It wasn't malicious.
Mm.
This was just, as ugly as it is, it was just an accident. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that. What's the point? And he goes, his legs are still fucking shattered.
Yeah. That's such a good point. I mean, I always think about it in terms of like, we're habitual creatures too, man. And it's really, really hard to steer the ship in a different direction when you've been living it a certain way for a long time. Those roots are firmly embedded. But awareness of those roots is relief within itself,
Yeah.
and also the brain's just a computer at the end of the day. And if you have enough conversations along this line and dig into this stuff enough, you may not get over it, but you will sure as hell find a way to work through it where it doesn't compound and take you in the process.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mm. What's that?
Uh, my announcing that the front door opened.
We have been doing this a while, man.
I can do it all night.
Do you want to wrap it up? Should we wrap it up?
I can do it as long as you want to do it.
Well, can you maybe what we should do is just have a quick talk about the fact that you've got this new album coming out. One, I would love to just quickly know about the how you felt about the process itself, bringing this album together, and you're going on tour. You've got quite a lineup for the one tour, and yeah, just basically just sort of talk about that a little bit.
So all the records have been different, you know. This one was similar in that, you know, it was not like the last record, but a little bit like that, and not like the one before, but a little bit like that. And basically, you know, the way that they're put together always is it's 90% of the time it's Clint and John with riffs, you know, and then they just throw riffs together. Sometimes they can be more developed, and then we go into that world of starting to like. That's when I get, you know, called in to mediate that situation and start picking what I want to work on and what I think would be cool. Um, this one was similar, you know. John wrote some riffs. Me and Lajon went up to Lajon's farmhouse, and the three of us put together, you know, like 3 or 4 songs. Um, and then I went to Clint's house, and Clint was like, "I want you to just shoot me an idea, and I'll just like," because Clint had been dealing with some stuff, and he goes, "You know, I'm not like fully in full creative mode yet. Like, just shoot me an idea and let's go." So I sat down on the piano and I wrote the intro to Unbreakable, the
Oh,
second
wow.
song. And so I wrote that piano part, and I'm like, I'm hearing that, like, let's just roll that as the chorus, you know? And hammer chords, just caveman stuff. You know, I want to go into that world. I don't want to trick everything out. Like, let's make this like, let's do something a little different and really just hit downbeat chords for this chorus. So write that. And then he goes, "What are you hearing for the verse?" And I'm like, "Let me get behind the kit." So I get behind the kit and I play, you know, the groove of the verse.
Which is epic.
And that's then he just starts, you know, playing, and he's like, "What do you?" I'm like, "Just chunk through that." And then he added the counter on top of that. And I'm only saying it because that was mine and Clint's moment. And uh, then I went there and worked with him again. And then all of us went up to the farmhouse and we all got together. And then I went up there and I did a little bit more with, I think, Lejean and John. But it was kind of like we kind of were all over the place. And then we did a proper pre-production. You know, it was like usually we like we'd make a hell for the producers, make absolute hell, because
Mm.
they get in there and we're like, we've already pre-produced the songs, just make it sound good, you know, like that's the mentality.
Right.
And this time we were kind of like, you know what, let's leave some room for Elvis to do his thing. We've kind of like not allowed him to be him. And so he had a big play, you know, he had a big play in being able to. I think we had to convince him that we were actually going to let him do what he wanted to do instead of like baiting him in there and then hitting him with a hammer or something, you know. But you know, because that's been done before as well.
Yeah. So you'd be just using him as an engineer at that point and mixing, but not so much in the decision making. You're quite used to that format.
Well, he contributed on all the records that he's done, so I definitely don't want to like dismiss, you know, his contribution because it was always there. It was
Yeah.
just that we made it really hard on him to get those points across. You know, it was like it would he probably did the same amount of work on all the records that he's been on, but we beat the shit out of him to get that stuff done before
Oh
this.
man, you guys sound like a pain in the ass, eh? That's so funny.
Oh, is it? Hey, listen, it's not. It's not. I mean, that's what happens when you don't communicate. Is everybody outside of the bubble gets hammered?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
What do they say? It's no picnic.
Yeah, it's definitely not a picnic. I mean, I feel like we're lovable guys, but oh man, when it gets into that creative area and when it gets, you know, we don't like messy.
Hmm.
So we just kind of mess everything up before anybody else can do it, and then start yelling and running in a circle. Um, so anyway, that was how the record went. It was a very enjoyable record to
Oh,
do.
cool.
Very enjoyable. We had a really good time doing it. We took our micromanaging skills and threw them in the toilet. We took our you know, micro producing skills and threw those in the toilet, and kind of like handed the keys over to everybody and said, "Okay, I think it's about time we trust everybody here." And in return, everything has been glorious. You know, like
Awesome.
it's weird. It's weird that you micromanage your whole life, and that comes from being left alone in the house without food for a while.
Mm,
You know, you tend to start just kind of raising yourself.
yeah.
And that's what happened to our band. We had people that just took. They didn't really do anything. They just took
Right.
for years and years, and allowed people to put us out there on tour and make not enough money to live, and over tour so that they could fill their pockets and we would go home broke. And so to trust somebody after that takes a lot.
Yeah. Fair
And
enough too.
yeah, and then we finally got them, and got the right people. They're wonderful, and we love them. They probably are becoming more popular than the band because we usually just talk about our management and our booking agent and our producer and our accountants. Because the truth of it is that we realize that after 30 years, the main reason why we're here right now is because of those entities, the accountants that are like, we're not going to let you do that. The booking agent that's like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to make the
Yeah.
band, you know, beat the worth of the band up, or the management that is like, this is what we're going to do, and it happens just like they said it was going to happen, and you're like, holy shit, dude, like everybody's honest around here. This is not possible.
Fuck, that must feel so good to have such a good network around you guys now that helps with that stuff. And it's not the blind leading the blind, you know?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I mean, we just did, like I said, we did Europe, and it's like we haven't been there. We've never done a proper tour of Europe in our career. Not one. We never did
Whoa.
one full tour of Europe in our career.
Wow.
And we would do a few weeks here, a few weeks there. We went over there a handful of times and had to leave because, we'd have people call us up and go, "Oh, you guys are $75,000 in the hole, and we got 3 weeks left." And we're like, "We're gonna lose our house. Like we're gonna go bankrupt." Leave. Europe is pissed. They don't know or care, or rightfully so. You're supposed to be going there to entertain. Get your shit together. Don't come. You should have
Mm,
known you were going to be six figures in the hole, but we didn't. We were told you're not going to be, and then we were. So all that stuff was going on. We go back and we do this with Alter Bridge, who are like brothers to us, and it just happened. It was just like, oh shit, it's happening right now. And then all the promoters are like, we want them. And they're like, what? They're like, let's book it now. And they just start like booking us for Europe again immediately. And the numbers just going crazy.
yes.
And then the posting going crazy. And then the, anticipation of this going crazy. And it's just like, oh shit, man.
It's so cool to hear, but it also kind of reminds me of the things like, you could put Ultra Bridge in this category, but you look at the Deftones thing, and you could even say the Creed thing as well, because obviously they've come back with a vengeance as well. But it's almost like, the time has served you guys so well to the point where people
The clock
that
came
came up
back.
with you, yeah, the clock came back, and the people that you inspired when you were younger, and now the people that want to appreciate you as adults and fully functioning people, and they have maybe a bit more money in their pocket, and they, you know what I mean, like,
And they have the kids that are younger than they were. And then they started to, I mean,
yeah,
it's
man. I
just,
mean, I'm teaching kids how to play Sevendust stuff, man. Like, that just goes to show like how relevant it still is, and that's just such a cool thing to hear.
what's funny is that somebody was talking to me about this the other day, and I'm like, we spent a lot of time trying to convince people that we weren't really new metal. Like, new metal, we didn't sound like Korn, and we didn't sound like Limp Bizkit. We didn't sound like the Deftones. We didn't sound like that. So we were like, we're not new metal. And they're like, yeah, you are. And we're like, "Well, I don't know what the fuck that is, but I didn't think we were." Now I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, we're new metal. The fuck are you talking about? We helped build a wheel on that car.
Yeah, we're the
And
OGs.
it's like, so now it's like, oh yeah, man, we're new
It's a
metal.
badge of
We've
honor.
always been new metal,
That's so good.
because it's like, but it has, like the TikTok thing happened or whatever happened. I mean, I was oblivious to it, because I was just like, I don't. I don't pay too much attention to what's going on in the world. And somebody was like, I saw a festival and there was a bunch of bands that we like used to play with back in the day that were all on the festival. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, they're all coming back. And they're like, oh yeah, man, new metal's like back. And I'm like, what? They're like, oh yeah, like your whole thing is back. And I'm like, oh shit,
Bro, that
let's
is
go.
amazing, eh? It caught back up to
You
you.
know?
That is incredible.
I mean, that's like, I mean, you're an old motherfucker when it comes all the way back around and it's like you're still at the damn truck stop.
Do you know what's funny, man? Is that since I became a teenager, I've always worn like black jeans, and often they'll come in and out of fashion. And I think I've lived through like, I don't know, 7 or 8 cycles of them being in and not. And I'm rock
Yeah.
solid, man. Type blacks, I'm fucking
Yeah.
rock solid. And they come back,
Yep.
and I'm like, where were all you bastards when I was charging on through? You know?
Right. I love it.
Yeah, man.
So we're gonna be. Are you in New Zealand or are you in Australia?
I'm in New Zealand. I lived in Australia for 12 years, but New Zealand is where I'm from, and we moved back here during COVID.
Okay. So I'm sure that we'll be there. We always do Auckland on the way in.
Dude,
How far is that from you?
man, it's only a couple hours. It's a stone's throw to come and have a coffee with you in person. I can even drum tech you if you want. Mind you, I can't because your setup's way too hard out for me to try and figure out how to set up.
Listen, I'll be an absolute wreck. You just being in the room and having to play in front of it. So we'll just
I
leave it
want
at
to come
that.
and be I want to, because I see you're doing these amazing VIP packages where someone can sit down right beside you and watch you
Oh,
play,
yeah.
and they get a snare drum, they get sticks,
Yeah.
dude,
We'll stick you back there anyway.
fuck yeah, I'd love to.
You
I'll
know.
just be a fly on the wall and just experience it in person would be amazing. But most
Oh,
importantly, it would just be nice to sort of have a hug and have a coffee and just
yeah.
appreciate you in person.
100%. Like I said, you're one of my favorite people, and it's an absolute honor to have spent this much time on the phone with you. I could do this for days.
I'm fucking honored. Seriously, just once again, thanks again for making heaps of time for me too. I really appreciate it. And forever inspiring Morgan. So don't ever doubt it. You guys are just doing such a cool thing and you always have. And it's a testament to you all. And we're all just grateful as fans.
I love you, buddy. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Legend, bro. Thanks. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Chats with the incredible Morgan Rose. If you want to see more of what I'm up to, you can head over to masterminddrummer.com, where you can sign up for my free weekly newsletter touching on a lot of the topics that we talked about in this episode, as well as seeing the programs that I do around double stroke, dynamics and mechanics, single kick, chops, and more. Thanks for watching. See you at the next one.